everyone. Welcome back to another edition of KISS.
Keep it simple, sister.
Hey there, Diana.
Hi, Samantha. How are you today?
I am fine. We are trying to bolster ourselves up because we are doing an afternoon recording, which both Diana and I sort of fade towards the afternoon.
At 2:00, and it's almost 4:00. So we're beyond the fade point.
Well, I catch a second wind later in the evening. Not so
Well,
much for you.
no, but I've been taking my uplift supplement that helps me at 2:00 because seriously, I could take a nap or go to sleep or whatever at 2:00.
I took that today.
Did you? I took
I'm
it,
waiting
but
for
it
it
hasn't
to-
quite kicked in yet. I don't think. But right in the middle, we're going to be running.
So this is a really cool non-jittery supplement that that Diana distributes. So you can check with her if you need a vendor. Like you need a local corner dealer. But the stuff
I got you. I'm your connection.
the moringa. So threw in some, what is it called? Morvita, which both Diana and I like.
Yeah, we've got the supplements on lock, so just
because
we'll be telling you more about them later, but they have changed our lives.
yes, we'll do a special podcast for that. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's talk about the flip side.
Okay. So let me just remind you, in case you're new here, the flip side is when something happens and it could be considered negative or a little contrast or something that might throw you off a bit. It's about finding the good in whatever might be happening to you.
Yep.
So my flip side starts at Lowe's because I always love the customer service flip side stories.
Okay.
So 2 years ago, you've been in the saga of Annie in Florida, and I had to move back to Florida and all that. 2 years ago, before Annie moved to Florida, she was doing some crafting, and we were trying to make Lazy Susans out of these pieces of wood. So we got these metal things at Lowe's, the spinny things. I don't know what you call them, whatever they are. But when she left, they've been sitting on my buffet dining room thing. And every time I walk past, I'm like, I need to take those back. I need to take those back. I need to take those back. Well, we brought all of her stuff in from her house. And I was like, are you ever going to use these? She said, no. And I said, okay, well, let's go take them back. So we went to take them back. This is so funny. We walk up to customer service and Emilio, it's his second day, which I found out a little bit later. So I give him the bag with the spinny things and the screws that go in it and whatever, and the receipt, because the receipt had been in the bag. And he said, we have a 90-day return policy. You've had this for 2 years. I was like, what? Really? I know I've had them for a long time, but I didn't know it was 2 years. So he calls some other girl over and she's like, yeah, 90 days. Let me see what I can do here. Let me, she gets on the thing and tries it out. And she's like, this requires a manager override for sure. So let's call James. So they call James and James comes in and he's like, and Emilio's like, she's had this stuff for 2 years. I know the policy is 90 days. I know I've only been here 2 days, but in training, they told us only 90 days. And so meanwhile, Annie is like shirking. So no one will see her. So I tell James, it's been sitting around the bag, like, I tell him the whole story. And James is like, we don't usually do this, but I'm going to do it for you. And I said, oh my God, James, thank you so much. We love Lowe's. We always come to Lowe's. Whatever, if you can give us money back, that's great. But if you need to give us a gift card or, like a merchandise credit card, whatever, here, that's fine. So the flip side was I went waltzing in with 2-year-old merchandise and a receipt, expecting to get a refund. But I just, I create my own reality, right? So I was like, why wouldn't they? If they still sell these things, why wouldn't they just give me my money back? Why not? And so James, so he tells us that we can do it, and then he gets Emilio trying to do it, and Emilio has never done a so he couldn't get the money to go back. He had to give it to a merchandise credit thing. And I was like, oh, that's fine, whatever, don't worry about it.
It's like Walmart. You're going back in there.
Exactly. Something, we'll need something at Lowe's, definitely. And so James walked away. Amelia was struggling. He was so cute too. And then he called James back over and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have walked away. You haven't done anything like this, right?" So poor Amelia, like he threw him to the 2-year-old return wolves.
Yeah, really. Poor guy.
So anyway, he completed it and gave it to us, and I had to sign it and all that. And I said, "Thank you so much. I'm sorry to have been such, such a troublesome first or second day thing." And he's like, "Well, if you come back with another 2-year return, I'll know what to do with it next year."
Oh my
I
God.
was like, "Thank you. I love you, Emilio, and I love you, James." So the flip side is it could have been, it was $50. These things, I mean, I don't even know why I spent $50 on them to begin with, because how much are we going to charge for a Lazy Susan thing that she decorates? I don't even know. But anyway, so I got the money back and it was exciting. And it was not $50 that I got back. I got back like $29 because they sell them for less now than they did 2 years ago. But
Oh my God.
flip side is I got really good customer service. We had fun. Poor Emilio could be crying in the break room now. I don't know. And I said to him, "At least you have a really good story to tell your family when you go home today."
Yeah, this lady had the audacity to
This
walk in
crazy
with a
lady
2-year-old.
comes in with stuff from 2 years ago and thinks she's going to get a refund on.
Oh my God, that's
So
funny.
I did. So, and I don't know if we've discussed this before, but my motto is always proceed until apprehended.
I was thinking that as you said that.
And so ask the question, because they might say no, but they might say yes. So proceed until, and it's kind of like, don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness or whatever, all of that is the same kind of thing. And if you do it with a smile and you're nice to the people, many times they say yes. Many times they give you a refund on 2-year-old merchandise, whatever.
You never know. Oh my God, I love that. I love
Well,
that.
the thing that's amazing is that I still had the receipt. Had I waltzed in there without the receipt, though, I think I would have been in better shape, because then they could have just scanned it and they would have given me the merchandise credit anyway, but it'd been a lot less complicated for poor Emilio.
Yeah, probably. That is funny. That is good.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Mine's not as funny. Um, okay. Yeah. Sorry. Um, so, I'm usually talking about myself. This is going to be about my daughter. Yeah, I mean, I've had some, I cannot just, one couldn't come to mind quickly enough for this podcast. So, Diana's like, what about around you? And I'm like, oh, my daughter. Yes. So, this one's kind of sad. So I have 3 grand bunnies. Yes, I don't know that I will ever have grandchildren, but I have 3 grand bunnies, and 2 of them, they all live with my daughter. They're all her bunnies, and 2 of them she refers to as the Wonderfluffs, and those were the original 2 bunnies. One's black, one's white. Um, she's into Marvel, so the white one's Anth Bunny Stark, and then the black one is Pepper Potts, of course, Pepper Black, And so, what happened is she got them and they bonded with each other and not her. And they're like double-headed lion maned, not double-headed, double-maned lion heads or something like that. And so they're very floof,
Okay.
And so
I'm glad they're not double-headed, because we're about to talk about imagination, and look at the picture that I got in my mind in a second.
that would have been
Okay, go ahead.
great, actually. Could have been really cool. So
Yeah.
now I want to go on to Chat GPT and to Dolly 3 and like create this
Okay.
that I just had. Okay, I've got it. Okay. Wonderfluffs.
Double head.
Yeah, double head. Okay, this is going to be great.
Well, as you're writing that down, yesterday was Halloween, and we were driving around, and there was a guy that had 2 dogs, identical dogs. He must have been training them. They were right next to him, but they were so close together, it looked like a double-headed dog. And I was like, that is not a double-headed dog. It's Halloween.
So you're a little sensitive to the whole double-headed thing because it's becoming real.
Yeah, it was recent.
Yeah, that would be a little upsetting.
Yeah.
So these 2 have bonded together, and her boyfriend's allergic to cats, And so she's a cat person. What she really wants is that fluffiness to, something to
Yeah.
hold and
Yeah.
love her back. Well,
Yeah.
so she said, okay, maybe this wasn't the right breed. And she read and studied up on lop ears. And so she got a lop ear bunny. And this little bunny, Jarvis, who's also after a Jarvis, I
That's
think
a
is
great bunny name. I don't know who he's after, but that's a great bunny name.
well, I think he's the butler of Anthony Stark. So see, you've got Pepper Potts and Anthony Stark who are like, they've got this will they, won't they kind of relationship. And then you have the servant. And so
Got it.
you're the very intelligent servant, but it's a servant anyway. So
Okay.
Jarvis, she couldn't put him in with the Wonder Fluffs because they're snippy. So she's had to keep them separate, meaning feed them separate, clean them separate. Like
Production. Yeah.
it's been really trying for her, but Jarvis loves her for a passion. He follows her around. He's a mix between a dog and a cat, and she's so thrilled with him, and it's what she needed. So but the other two, like, it's just she's very busy life, she doesn't have time to sit there and mess with animals that are giving her no love. But it's even
Right.
more than that. There's some medical conditions going on with the Anth bunny, the white one. And it's just the cost and and they're very sensitive animals. So she could put a lot of money into it and then the bunny die on the table. And he already almost
Okay.
died one time from anesthesia. So it's like she's just not in the position.
Yeah.
She's a
Yeah. Yeah.
high maintenance bunny.
Well, and where's the payoff? If if they're bonded together and not to her and they don't, do anything, she needs to, where's the love?
Yeah.
She
So
doesn't have it. So I get
yeah.
it.
So the heartache, is not getting the attention from them, not getting any benefit back. But then she really started to consider maybe it's time for me to let them go somewhere else. And that's not a decision she takes lightly because she really studied, went into this, was committed.
Yeah.
And I mean, she's turned a whole bedroom in her house over into a bunnery. I don't know what you call it. It's not
I was going to say, is that what you call it? That's cool. But it kind of sounds like a
nunnery,
bakery, like buns in a bakery, a bunnery.
bakery, nunnery. I don't know.
All right, we're going to look that up and we're going to put it in the comments below.
It's not, I know. Oh,
We're going to ask
a
Jeeves.
rabbitry.
A rabbitry?
Rabbitry. Rabbitry. That's what
Okay. I like the bunnery better, but good.
it's cuter.
Yeah.
So anyway, she's been going through the process of trying to separate her emotions, her responsibility, because she was all in with these bunnies. They have loved her back. And it's been heartbreaking seeing what she's going
Yeah.
through. Now, for me, she keeps going, Mom, I'm so sorry you're going to lose two of your grand bunnies. And I'm like, I really have no problem.
I'm okay.
She and her boyfriend went to Disney this past week, and she was like, I just want to know Jarvis getting extra special attention. Can he come stay with you? And I was like, of course. Like, I was so excited that Jarvis was going to come stay with me because he's such a good grand bunny. It's really crazy stuff. But anyway, so he she finally, while she's down at Disney in the world's happiest place, right? She gets the notice from this sanctuary saying they have space all of a sudden. And of course, that's how it has her in tears. But she's
Oh,
also like, okay, it's one of those things, it's like you got to rip off the band-aid. It's going to
yeah.
hurt to do it. And I've had to
But
give
it's
up,
the right thing.
yeah, I've had to give up bunnies before that I rescued that I could no longer like
Yeah.
would have been nice, but it was too much with the dogs and
Yeah.
cats. And so anyway,
The menagerie.
yeah, she's asked me if I will take her on Saturday. She's going to be an absolute mess. It's going to be really tough to do. But there is an upside. The flip side of it is like this has been weighing on her so heavily. And it's been prolonged for so long. There's just the whole pain of the situation. And
Yeah.
once she moves into that space of releasing them, yes, it's going to be challenging, but she's releasing them to the best possible place she could. She's so lucky
Right.
she's got them
Right.
in the sanctuary. Um,
Yeah.
and her life, like she won't be spending the money she's spending right now. Her time will be freed up, to truly love this one bunny and have him, just enjoy
Mhm.
her back. And it's everything is on the bright side of it. I know it's going to be upsetting, but it's you always have to look at both sides of things, you know. There is an upside, and that having her freedom and the relief of the financial responsibility is going to, and the love, you know, is going to be huge.
Well, and she'll look back on it and it's the best thing that happened. But that's the hardest thing, I think, when you're younger. Like as you get women of a certain age, as you get older, like we do, you know, we have a lot of experiences that we can look back on and say, that happened for a reason. And I wouldn't change it, even though how painful and hard and terrible it was at the time. The
Mhm.
things that I learned from it, the things that I came out of it, the people that I met through that experience, the experiences that I had that, you know, I could take forward into new experiences, like all of that. Hindsight is 2020, and it's hard when we see our kids suffering and we want to say it's going to be okay. I know you don't think so now, but it's going to be okay
It will be.
because we know everything's always working out.
You just got to hang in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll be dealing with her being upset that day, and then I've got a shoot to do that evening, but it's a short shoot, so like an event. That sounds. I'm going to shooting, but it'll be a
You mean
small
a
event.
photographic shoot? You're not
Yes,
shooting people.
photographic shoot. So it'll, you know, but like it's so funny when you talk to me about my ADD brain, and I'm like, okay, I've got this thing from 5 to 6, so my day's shot, you know, and because you said something like you talked to me about that one time, and I hadn't realized, like, you look at all these pockets of time where you can do things, and me, I'm just like, no, I have this one big thing. Okay, and now I'm doing this other big thing. So now there's no time in between, even though there'll probably be several hours.
Well, and I think part of that comes from me being a teacher too, because, you know, I think in 15-minute increments. That's what I've always done because, you know, reading was 90 minutes and math was 60 minutes and my planning time was 40 minutes and my bathroom time was 2 minutes and my, you know, like, so I'm used to breaking all that down into chunks, which for someone with ADD or ADHD, that really helps, but you need to see it visually.
Yeah.
For me, I'm used to living it. Like I can tell you when 15 minutes has gone by just from, I
Gee.
had to plan a lesson that would take 2 15-minute blocks and then
You
the
can't
kids
sit there
could
and keep
practice.
watching your watch on it. You have to just
Well, I used to always do my watch. Now that I'm retired, I don't have to do that, but you'll see me glancing up. Sometimes I've got a clock up here, and sometimes you'll see me glancing down and I've got a clock over here. So when I start to feel like we're getting toward how much time should it, and it's just automatic for me. I can't help myself. Do you
I've
see
actually
that?
noticed. Yes, I
And
do.
that's when I say, let's wrap it up because I am zoned in on time like that.
Damn.
But it was a necessity. It's a skill, but it was a necessity to survive the
Yeah,
teacher life.
yeah. It's almost like it would have been good for me to have gone through training like that or something. I don't know
Mhm.
that would have ever taken effect though.
But I think you but you do block scheduling, don't you? Kind of?
I know.
Kind of?
Really.
Well, and if you don't know about block scheduling, I'll make a note that we can put it in there. But basically, it's
Yeah,
15-minute chunks of time and it's on a schedule and you can do it on your computer and you can do it on a piece of
it
paper
makes
or
me
whatever.
nervous to do that. Even like thinking, oh my God, I'm committing a certain, like, okay, so when Diana and I started doing this podcast, started talking about doing the podcast, I was like, so I'm going to commit to this every Tuesday we're going to record. Like all of a sudden I was so nervous about that. Like how
But
would
we
I,
don't do it all day long. We do it in a chunk of time. Well, sometimes like today it became all day long.
but I'm better.
But
I'm better about it now though. I mean,
yeah.
much better about it now, but I mean, and now it's actually, now it's comforting to know that I have that chunk of time blocked off.
Well, but I think what happens with you, and it kind of works with the way your business rolls, you have to let it come in.
Yeah.
You have to let it roll in. So that 5 to 6 or 6:30, you might not have known about that 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
or you might have. But also, you know, you open up your schedule for your coaching clients and for your readings and all of that. you know, you've got those blocks out there. They might be filled, they might not be filled. So that's kind
Yeah,
of hard. For me, I'm the only one filling the blocks.
that makes
So
sense.
that makes it easier, you know?
Well, since we're diagnosing me at the moment, I'm going to just say, for anyone watching this going, oh, this is really interesting stuff. With my ADD mind, I've learned that if somebody says, hey, I'd like to have an appointment, I will procrastinate because, oh my God, I'm committing to time. And I don't know what the deal is. It's not, I'm waiting for something better or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's a resistance. And so what I learned is I have scheduling software. So I use, Acuity scheduling, and it works beautifully because I don't have to think twice about it. Somebody goes, I want an appointment. They go in there and they're able to see my whole schedule. And all of a sudden it pops up that I've got an appointment. And like, I don't have any resistance to that. Like, it's beautiful. Like, I get excited about it. And there's a lot of other psychological things that come behind that, such as,
Yeah.
I sit there and say, people just reach out to me. They just like working with me. They have fun working with me and they can't wait to make an appointment with me. And then, oh my gosh, look at that. There's an appointment, So
Yeah,
my
exactly.
mantra, it's part of my everything that these appointments just fill up, and it's so much fun.
Well,
So,
and see, for me, on the other end of OCD land,
uh,
um, if I had a chunk of time hanging out there that I didn't know whether it was going to be filled or not, that would stress me out. Isn't
ah,
that funny?
yeah.
Like I know on my, do I have it here? So I haven't, I'm many weeks behind or whatever. But can you see this little pad of paper? So
Mhm.
it has the date, and it's not block scheduling, but I pretty much do it like that. Like I
Yeah.
put it in here, and mainly I've had to work, and it has like today's top 3, and I put in there like the things that I want to get done or whatever. But I love paper. Like I'm not a, my tech challenges sometimes, but I'm getting better at it. But I love things on a piece of paper. I got a notepad right here. That's what I love. I love paper. I love notebooks. I love colorful pens. I love office supplies. I love all of that.
And that's so funny because I'm like, when I saw that piece of paper, the first thing I did is I went, because I thought, oh, I'd never write in pen. I'd have to do it in pencil, and I'd have to do it light enough that I could erase. Like,
No.
I could not.
Well,
Oh God,
you got to commit to the block. Commit to
I don't know that I
All
could.
right, we need to get on to the positive path here, because this is, I mean, yes, this is positive, but
Yeah.
wow.
Hey, it's an interesting topic.
Yeah.
Okay, so the positive path today, we're going to talk about intuition and the importance of imagination as a tool working with your intuition, um, and yeah, basically how they play together, how it all nets
Okay,
out.
so let me start by saying, before working with Samantha, I thought my intuition was, when you get that little pit in your stomach and you're like, something's not right here. I don't know. Or it might be some little nudge that says, take this road, not that road. Or it may be just a feeling, like just something's not right.
Mhm.
Something's weird. Something's not right. So that's the way I felt about intuition. And sometimes I would listen to it and sometimes I wouldn't. Now, the pit in my stomach, I almost always listen to. Some of the other stuff, I'm like, all right, why would I go that way if I always go this way? That doesn't even make good sense. Why would I even think about doing that?
Uh-huh. You argue with
But
yourself.
or exactly, you have a little conversation with yourself, like, yeah, no, yeah, angel devil on my shoulders, whatever. um, but that's my inner being helping guide me, which I did not know that
Mhm.
until I started working with you.
Ah, okay. Yeah, maybe you definitely had the right, like the fact that you could pay attention and say, this is a gut level feeling, or this is like a thought, and why am I feeling
Yeah,
this
so I noticed it. I think a lot of people just block it so much they don't even notice it happening. I
way?
noticed it it just naturally came to me that I noticed it. But we know a lot of these metaphysical things with me. Somehow it just came to me and I followed it and I went with it. And
Yeah.
now that I understand some of it, I'm like, but so many other people don't have that awareness and are not open to that awareness. So
Well,
that's one of the reasons why we're doing this podcast, to kind of help people understand what's going on and help you open yourself up to
awarenesses.
awareness. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it honestly is that people are so busy worrying about the future or being excited, anticipating the future, or they're so hung up on the past that
Yeah.
it's the
There's
only.
never any now. It's either
Yep.
forward, back, not now.
And you have to reside in the now in order to acknowledge and experience these nudges and so forth. Because if you're, there's no such thing as like a nudge in the future. Like, no, that's a fear. That's you thinking of a fear that then you're creating those chemicals that create the emotions in your body, which make you suddenly feel like, oh God, I'm stuck. Um,
And the fight or flight, which
yes.
makes you want to drink, want to smoke, want to eat stuff that's not good for you, want to, like all of those things that help you kind of shut down that fight or flight.
Yeah, dissociate. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And that's a big one. So yeah, when you're dissociated, yeah, you're certainly not going to. Okay, so when you're the best way to describe is when you're in that state of being where you just feel like you're the shit, man. It's like things are going so well, like anything you touch is just going like magic. It's a flow state that you're in,
Uh-huh.
whether it's writing a letter or you could be out gardening, you could be washing the car, you could be writing a masterpiece. There's so many different things you could be doing, but you're in a flow state. And when you're in that flow state, that's when you're present in the now. And that's when you're most connected to that higher self that is looking out for you, has 360 view of what's going on in your life, and is sitting there sending these signals going, watch out for this, go this way, look at that. um and I can complicate it a little bit and say that's also where your spirit guides are sending messages through to you, but they're also kind of down here nudging you as well, which is kind of cool. But you can't, like, you'll just brush it off and just go, yeah, I don't know what that's about, because you're too busy worried about other things. But when you're in that flow state, in that connection, and it's not like you have to be 100% in, if you get to the point where you pay attention to how you feel, so that flow state feels really good, it feels really connected.
Hmm.
So okay, I love this. I'm sitting here talking about this, and I think we did a podcast earlier where we were talking about how things interrupt us.
Uh-huh.
Today, my gardener is supposed to come, landscaper is supposed to come yesterday. He's here today outside my door. So I'm
I
gonna do,
can't hear it.
yeah, I'm gonna have, but it's me having to like really focus now. This is
Oh gosh. Okay.
so anyway, it's when you're in that flow state, it's that feel good. And once you recognize this is what it feels like, then you learn, okay, I always want to be in a good, high vibrational state of being. I want to be feeling positive,
I
feeling,
want to look for this feeling. I want to feel for this feeling. I want to do what I need to do to get to this.
and you can't fake it. You can't walk around going, I'm not going to worry about this because I'm this, and it's not something you can fake. You have to
Yeah.
really vibrationally shift into, like, is it Abraham Hicks who talks about you have to really care about your emotional wellness, like
Yes.
that you are in a good
Well,
feeling.
and Samantha always laughs at me, but whenever something is really, when the shit hits the fan,
Yeah.
la la la, um, I always end the sentence with, but it's going to be fine. And that is my on my way to everything's always working out for me because I'm reminding myself it's going to be fine. It's going to be all right. It's
Yeah.
going to, yeah. So I'm trying to shift myself whenever you hear me saying that it's going to be fine. I'm
Mhm.
not quite in the everything's always working out for me quite yet, but I'm getting there.
Ah,
That's just a realization that I just had.
interesting.
And then I also want to, because she always laughs at me when I say it's going to be fine. It'll be fine. Whatever. It'll be fine.
Well, sometimes I'm
Uh,
like, it's not fine at the moment. So stop saying that. And you're just
but I
like,
say it's going to be fine.
yeah, you do.
Yeah, I never say it's fine. I
Yep.
say it's going to be fine because it is going to be fine. And I just wanted to give you an example because I thought of it as you were talking of the flow state. So, we talk about, if a writer gets an idea and they're writing and they get a whole chapter of their book or whatever, my flow state that I kind of like look back at is chocolate chip cookies. I am famous. They call them Guntow cookies because that's some people call them Guntow cookies. That's my maiden name is Guntow because there were two of us, Diana Taylor and Diana Guntow. So in order to tell us apart, it was Guntow. So anyway, I make Guntow cookies, and it's just a tweak on the Nestle Toll House recipe, but they're better. They're so good. And when I'm making cookies, I'm in the flow always. So when I get to a point where if you ever call me and I'm making cookies, something went down a little while ago. And I'm getting back to the cookie flow.
Ah,
but I haven't made cookies in a long time. And also I make them, as a treat for my kids sometimes when they're coming or whatever. But really you need to kind of think of something in your life where it's just pure joy. You don't have to think about it. You're just doing it and you feel good.
well, I'm thinking about, think about it. You've shifted into a higher vibrational space, and
Yeah.
you're creating something that you're giving to other people
That brings others joy.
Yeah, higher vibrational.
Yeah.
Like, more, was it Emoto Morimoto Moto? Yeah, I'm getting it one way or the other. Who did the thing on the ice crystals and water?
Yes.
And so, but that affects, it's not just ice crystals and water. It's absolutely everything. It is it's the milk, it's the sugar, it's everything you're putting into the cookie that is. And so I did a thing a long time ago, and we're going to get back to the topic, but I did a thing a long time ago where I learned a way of offering light to food to people. It's like a type of Reiki. Basically, Reiki is healing through the hands, through energy coming through your hands, intentional healing or whatever. And so, but I had discovered this through people intentionally clarifying the purity of the food and shifting, so they were shifting the molecules of the food, purifying, lifting it up, bringing it into its highest state of being. And I thought, yeah, right. And I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich that one of these people made, like it was the whole buffet of stuff. And it was the most incredible peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Okay, so how they always say made with love? Yeah. Well, the love is that purification. And I think our our Italian grandmother or whatever somehow knew that their love for what they were doing and doing for their people was imparting energy on that. That's really cool.
See, I love that now, because that kind of goes into, because people will be like, yeah, right. But let's think about, so the other part of the equation of the intuition was the imagination. I'm someone who I harp on this constantly. But when you're sitting there giving this love, to food, and you're cooking and you're getting that higher vibrational state, imagination's required in this. Like, you don't just go, yeah, I'm going to do this. It's like, you believe, you move yourself into this altered state where you believe in the power of what it is you're doing. That's make believe, that's like saying, okay, now you're the king and I'm going to be the queen, and we're going to put these hats on, and the hats are really just, like unicorn looking things or whatever, but they've got flowing robes because you've imagined that there's these wisps of whatever.
Yeah, think 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds.
Yeah, dress up and that kind of stuff. So
before we ruin them.
Yeah. Yeah, before we tell them, what is it we say?
Yeah, stop playing around. Get serious.
Stop daydreaming.
Yeah.
So a lot of,
and that's the gift of ADHD. You know that, right?
Yeah,
it really is. The people who have ADD or ADHD are very creative people, and they have the imagination. And we stifle it in school, because when you were a line worker on the production line, you didn't need to be an imaginative. And that's what school was designed to do, which is
Yeah.
really sad.
Yeah, it's really sad. Well, so I know when I was growing up, like when we would always do these long road trips across the United States, and I would sit there and I would look out the window and I would imagine I loved horses. Like I'd run around whinnying and neighing and pawing like I and I would imagine I was riding a horse alongside the interstate, and
Uh-huh.
whenever there'd be like a culvert or like, like it would go down, but then there'd be a road come across. I would imagine that the horse was jumping that road that was coming up. I had such a vivid imagination. And even though like spatially a horse couldn't keep up with a car, not for 3
Yeah, it's not logical. None of
yeah,
that's logical. Yeah.
but it was the movement, and then just seeing it, oh, now we're jumping, now we're riding. And I would come up with these just incredible scenarios that, I mean, my mom and, my family would just look at me like, what the hell? What
What
that makes
planet did you fall down on?
yeah, because none of
Yeah.
them were like that. Um, so, it's okay. So what's super important is with all of this being in the now, and understanding the importance of listening to our intuition. Um, so the other component we're talking about here is imagination and how we need to get back to that childlike state that allows us to open up to all possibilities, whether it makes sense or not. Because when you do that, now you're allowing this external source that loves you so much and wants the very best for you. You're allowing it to come in and play with you, guide you, nudge you, leave little treats, little clues of greater happenings that are going to occur. And also a lot of times, nudging you to avoid pitfalls, things that wouldn't be so good,
Yeah.
that wouldn't be good to be around.
Yeah.
And it's through that imaginative state of being and entertaining, that there's so many shades of gray, and it's not even shades of gray, there's shades of purple and chartreuse and whatever, like it just all of a sudden the world becomes this greater multidimensional space. And so now you have lessened the concreteness around you, the physical reality around you,
Yeah.
so that amazing things can really come in and happen.
Well,
Um,
and we talk about miracles all the time. That's what miracles are.
exactly. They're the things that occur that wouldn't physically make sense. Physics wise,
Doesn't
everything would
follow the
happen.
rules.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And yet, how does that happen? Well, we're creator beings. Okay, so this is,
Uh-huh.
I'm going to back it up just a bit, little bit here, is that we're creator beings and we have agreed to come into this reality to experience. Because when we experience, then our souls have the opportunity to grow. And that is
Mhm.
the whole point, is our expansion. So when we're in this space and we're exploring, I don't want to lose this train of thought because it's like really important. My brain's just going, I'm hearing this guy outside. Sorry. Okay. So hold on. Give me just a second. We come into this space um, and we're exploring. Oh, so I remember what I was going to say. So in order to come into this physical three-dimensional reality, we have to, coming into it, we have to agree on a template of reality. We have to agree that the sky is going to be blue for everyone and that concrete's going to be physical and hard. So we agree the molecules are going to vibrate so rapidly and so close together that there is a density to it. We have
Uh-huh.
to agree on the laws of physics in order for us to experience essentially the same kind of reality so that this works. Because if I believe that water is hard and you don't, well, that's going to be really weird if we try to go swimming together, you know?
Right. Right.
So we are literally using our imaginations as creator beings, agreeing to certain laws of physics. And so then when you get here and you're walking around in this concrete 3D reality, and then you sit there and go, but what if? What if like I had an experience where there was this vortex that was disturbing this woman's a horse paddock, and it was making the horse go crazy, and it was creating lots of problems. And a vortex is a energy source that's coming from the earth out, and it's energetic, so sometimes you can see evidence of it. But our job was we needed to move it off the property so that it stopped bothering the horses. Okay, so here's like it kind of, I think in the laws of physics, they can explain vortexes. They can talk about the earth releasing that energy. But in order for us to move it, we had to move into that imaginative space because we had to think beyond the laws of physics in
Yeah.
order to even begin to wrap our minds around it. And it's not like we held on to it. It was through our minds that we could feel out the energy, and then we could begin to play like we were in a sandbox and imagine, well, what would it take to do this? And my daughter helped me do this, and it was the first time she and I had ever played in the sandbox together, which was really fun, to sit there and go, now I'm going to do this. Now you've got it. What, can you see this? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, can you push this over? Yeah, I can do, it's once you allow your imagination to blossom, it's like all of a sudden, um, that along with your intuition, your gut feeling and stuff, you start to have a certainty of manipulating this reality around you, understanding it better, working within the properties of it, and molding it to more what you. It's so much fun.
And it's not as easy as you're making it out to be, but the more you learn and the more you practice and the more
Yes.
you try, it gets easier.
Yeah. Here's the thing. As from the level of a child, it's easy, you know.
Right. They know how to do it naturally.
Yep. And from our innate abilities, at any point in time, you could literally choose to turn your imagination on. Yep, I'm going to become childlike again. The problem is we have been programmed. So you
Yeah.
go through all of this programming that says, nope, you can't think this, you can't do that, like we're talking about with school.
Yeah.
So okay, so it brings us to a point where I get on a soapbox about this, where I am very passionate about people learning to employ their imagination. I like to do, like with my clients and stuff, I like to do guided visualizations. So like, you can do meditations, and this is a type of meditation, but it's a guided visualization. And you're going through a process where you're imagining warmth going up your body, your muscles relaxing, like you will your muscles into relaxation. And my favorite thing to do is like to take people to a beach scene. Okay, I just want you to just like go there with me for the moment. You don't have to close your eyes, but imagine I said, okay, you're now walking along a beach. And that's all I say is you're walking along a beach. So you would probably imagine what kind of a beach?
A white sandy beach with palm trees.
Okay. And then I say, okay, so the water is to your right, and there's a tall cliff to your left. Now, what happens to the palm trees that you were imagining?
Gone.
Yeah. And you
Yeah.
have to rapidly create this
Right.
cliffside. And then I'm like, and as you walk along, all of a sudden you notice there's stones on the ground. So here you've been walking along, and it was really comfortable walking in the sand, wasn't it?
Yes.
And then all of a sudden you're like going, oh, you
My
know,
feet hurt. Yeah.
so I'm playing with people's imagination. Now, some people, like I have to go at a slower pace because some people they're just kind of going beach, beach, what, they want me to fill in the beach for them from the get-go. And it's like,
Uh-huh.
no, you need to start slowly because you need to land on the beach yourself. You have
Yeah.
to create some sandbox that you're in, and then we will slowly manipulate it. And so what you're doing is you're exercising those neural pathways
Yeah.
and getting things to fire again. um and I'm saying this because it all leads to um so I am offering a course. I'm going to go ahead and mention this. I'm going to
Do
be
it.
offering a
Tell it.
course. It's called Zen Tarot, and it's a gateway to your, basically a gateway to your inner universe, your innerverse. I don't know.
Ooh,
I gotta write that down because I'll
I
forget.
like that. Your innerverse.
Um, so because and the phrase that my guides often give me, or like pelted me with it, is you have to go within to go without. In other words, when you go in, there is like it's limitless. It is, you're literally opening yourself up to unlimited space, imagination, creativity, possibilities. It's nuts. So
Yeah.
this course, it's using tarot cards, so that when you look at the cards have symbols, they all have meanings. And so you learn the meanings, but then you throw the meanings out and create your own meanings. And you begin to develop a love language with your guides. And so, as you can imagine, all of this is using imagination. Like you learn
Yeah.
the concrete, this is what this is what this is, because there's power in symbology. And so, you think of mankind for centuries has known that if somebody has a surprised look on their face, well, that means something's coming up out of the blue, right?
Right.
So there's symbology, which is really important and it's understood. But then you might notice something once we get your imagination working, you'll notice something else in the card that wasn't even really a part of the card, that the little book that comes with tarot cards doesn't describe, because
Uh-huh.
you're outside of that now. You're in a whole different realm where your guides are tapping you on the shoulder, which is that connection to your higher self, and
Uh-huh.
trusting in the intuition to just say what you're feeling in that moment, what you're seeing, what you're experiencing. So it all has to do with your intuition and your imagination marrying together. And as you start getting these kinds of messages, this is the best way I know to really take your imagination out for an exercise and to expand upon it. I don't even think about it. It's on a little leash,
Yeah.
You're going, come
Well,
on,
I
let's go.
cannot wait for this course because I'm trying to connect with my guides. I'm getting little nudges here and there. So I'm thinking that will take me to the next level. And I'm very excited about that.
That's exciting. Well, and the thing is, like, we try to connect, and it's so funny because the trying is that we're just not allowing.
Exactly.
Because they're
Exactly.
there, and they're going, "Hello, I'm here." And we're sitting going, I'm trying to have that connection with you." And they're just going like, "Stop trying, just do it,"
Just do it.
But but we're hampered because of that imagination connection. Because it literally, when people say, how do you know what to say? How does this work? It is a complete leap of faith. I trust what's coming through me. And that is the
Yeah.
hard thing to do, because it's not factual. It's not reading, writing, and arithmetic, right?
Right.
It's
Not your typical what everybody accepts as the norm.
Mhm. But see, this is when the magic comes into play, because and especially in utilizing the tarot to create this space to explore your imagination and your
Yeah.
connection to higher self. Because um when with tarot cards, like, you can ask questions and just lay cards down, but um I think I told you in one of the podcasts, I mentioned that I had been doing a tarot reading at an event, and my shtick that I would say to people is that I have agreed with my guides. I've told them that each place, like, there were like 7 places I was going to lay the cards down, 8 places. And I said, each of these spots has an intent, a meaning behind, like, this one's going to be about your emotions, this one's going to be about family and relationships, and this one's going to be about business career. And I said, I've dictated to my guides, this is where I want you to lead me to put down cards that will symbolize this area, right? But then here's the freaky thing. This is where the magic comes in. This is where, like, the physical lines begin to blur, because then when you have tarot cards, and, like, I could have said, well, this is what's going on in your life, and they would have been like, okay. But when you take a tarot card and you lay it down, and they can look at the card and the symbology, again, it's just understood, naturally understood by humans, what certain things mean. They
Uh-huh.
can look at that card in that position, and they'll know exactly, oh my God, that's talking to me. It's telling me that I need to go get a new job, or I need to go do this or that. Like, they can see it. Now I can expand upon it, but
Hmm.
it's further validation. It's like freaking magic that out of all the cards, I would have chosen this one and laid it down in that spot.
Right. Right. Well, and I've experienced this with you, and it's just mind blowing. It's so cool.
And the fact that we can all do it. We all have access to it.
Well, and we had talked, I mean, I don't want to put it all out there, but we may do a little bonus podcast where Samantha does a couple of cards in a tarot reading or whatever, just kind of to give us a little taste. But right now, I think that we need to go to Sweary Affirmations.
Yes, I think we need to wrap
Is
it
it
up.
is it a good stopping point? I hope it is. And we may come back and talk about imagination more another day.
Yeah. Okay.
We
Now, see,
could.
that's your sense of timing. I love it because I could go, my ADD mind, I could go on forever with this stuff because it just,
Well, and I would have stopped you a few minutes ago, but what you were saying was so interesting. Okay.
thank you. Okay.
You're welcome.
So sweary affirmation.
My little bag of Sweary Affirmations.
Ta-da. I love this, this little burlap bag. So these are, we always list these, the link to buy these in the corresponding blog that goes with this particular podcast, which also will have our weekly Wanderlust assignment that you can go to get clarity on what that is, which we have to tell you about in a minute. But we're doing sweary affirmations first. Okay.
Yes, we are. Stop.
Oh my goodness, that was quick.
I know. I was quick, wasn't I?
Do one thing every day that makes you feel fucking fabulous.
Okay. So what's my word? Fabulous. Yes. Do one thing every day that makes you feel fucking fabulous. Not just fabulous, fucking fabulous.
I like the
Love it.
alliteration. Feel fucking fabulous.
Feel fucking fabulous.
That should be a
That's
shirt.
We're gonna have a t-shirt. Hold on. Feel
Just see how the minds just worked there.
fabulous. All right, let's get to the weekly Wanderlust.
So we have to make it up because we hadn't really thought.
We have no idea what we're going to do, but I think it should have something to do with imagination, maybe.
Yeah, no, definitely. Okay. So let's see. We want to do intuition and we want you to work your imagination. I think that and also the connecting, like connecting with your higher self is important too. So I want people to be paying attention to how they're feeling in the moment. Like, are you, if you're okay, let's start with this. This is it's going to be it's going to be a couple of things. One is I want you to pay attention to just throughout the day where you're at, and like if it's not positive, feeling good, move yourself up, whatever it takes. Whether it's I've really wanted a soft drink, I'm going to have a soft drink, or if it's I could just use taking a few minutes just to go walk out in the grass, or the snow.
Or just a breather,
Yeah.
and breathe for a second or 20 seconds
and read just a couple of pages from your book, whatever it is.
Yeah. Listen to a song, whatever.
Because that was in the very beginning of what we talked about, was shifting your mood, your emotions into a more positive space.
Yeah. And if you're sad, you don't have to go to ecstatic.
Mm-hmm.
You need to go to not quite as sad as I was. I'm feeling a little bit better.
Yeah. One step.
In small increments.
Mm-hmm. And then I think it's really important that, let's see, there's two things. There's listening to that inner nudge, and there's imagination. So in listening to that inner nudge, this is like one of those things with the reticular
activating system.
Yeah, that as we talk about this, if you write it down, it'll put it in your head. Okay. So I want you to, as you're driving around or as you're doing things in your house, whatever it is, might be easier just to focus when you're driving around, that if you feel a nudge that says go a different way, or a nudge that says pick this up and bring it into the other room, just recognize you're having that nudge and do it. Just write it down that you did it. And notice how many times, because now we've got this, in your, what do they call it? Your RAS, your articulating
Yeah. So you're tuning into it. You're tuning into the station
Mhm.
of paying attention to that particular thing. And that's what that whole reticular activating system is. It's like when you buy a new car and you see the same car all the time because your brain is looking for that. So what we're trying to do is direct your brain
Mhm.
to the feeling, and then also to listening to the feeling, to the nudges.
Exactly. Okay, and so for the imagination, I'm not sure. You know what? Oh, nope. I know what it's going to be.
Of course you do.
So I'm going to share with you guys a really, really cool. I am going to share one of my visualizations with y'all. Yeah, I'm going to link that.
Good.
And
I was going to suggest that, but I wanted to make sure it was okay.
so I'm not sure. It's either going to be the cloud one, or it might be another one. I've got to look at which feels more in alignment with what
Okay.
I'm doing. But this is going to be an exercise that is going to, it's going to be super beneficial. It's going to get you into a good state of being. But you're also going to go through and, like, now that we've been talking about this, you're really going to pay attention to how you are utilizing your imagination to relax your body and to go through the steps that you're going to experience within this recording. So
And when I get off of this recording, I think I might have to make some Guntow cookies because I have used my imagination and I'm thinking about how it smells and how it tastes and how much fun it would be to make some. And
so I'm wondering if the first person who sees this podcast, I don't know if you're willing to do this or not.
oh, we'll get Guntow cookies.
Yeah,
Oh,
you'll
yes.
send them Guntow cookies.
Of course I will.
So the first person who sees this and comments Guntow cookies,
And it's
gotta write that down.
Guntow. That was my maiden name. Gun, like a gun, and tow, like a tow truck.
So you've got to comment either in YouTube or in the Facebook group. You got to do that. Say Guntow cookies. I want me some Guntow cookies. And then,
And I will send you some Guntow cookies.
oh my God, I love that.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
That is so cool.
I
Okay.
like that idea.
Um,
And then if you guys are lucky, I will share the recipe for the Guntow cookies, but I'm going to tell you it's the love that I put into them and my energy probably that makes them better. That you're not going to be able to replicate it exactly
Yep.
unless you can get your energy up to where my energy is with the Guntow cookies.
Exactly. Because, here's the thing, like, have you ever been to, God, you go to an older person's home and, like, their like Christmas cactuses are beautiful. Like, mine would always die.
Dead. Yeah,
But
exactly.
well, it just does this. And it's like, because there's this peace and harmony they have with their plants,
Yeah.
and that it's taken years for them to move into that relationship.
Yeah.
There's something there, and it's that hidden ingredient. And that's like with your cookies, it's the hidden ingredient.
Yep.
Yep, made with love. Oh my God, this is so exciting. You guys,
That's fun.
we're wrapping this up. That was wonderful.
All right. We will see you next time. Bye.